All right, everybody, come on in, come on in, come on in. You know you have been waiting for us to get back to our regularly scheduled program. Welcome back to Let's Talk with Maggie and Lucy, available on YouTube Podcasts and YouTube Music, the best kept secret on the internet. I am Maggie, the substitute teacher. You may know me from my cooking channel. I make food and femininity content. And with Lucy, we are the proud founders of the Finishing School for the Modern Woman, which is our flagship course. You may have seen the little intro where we teach ladies of all ages to be the best versions of themselves by leading with femininity, elegance, and etiquette. Registration is open. Our next class starts January 4th. But right now, if you want to get any of the courses from our catalog this week, we have a Black Friday special. Use code Black Friday. The link is in the banner. Lucy, please introduce yourself and let us know, what are we reacting to tonight?
Hi, Maggie. Hi, everyone. Come on in. Come on in. I'm Lucy, and have a small channel that the content is generally, I started with teaching Spanish, then I moved on to topics that impact women over a certain age, and also femininity, elegance, and, just lovely things that we women must learn or share or talk about. And speaking of talking about, the topic today is going to be really interesting because, again, we're seeing a perspective from a man, a psychologist, and he's pretty practical when he shares the information. It's Dr. Orion Taraban. Sometimes his language is colorful. I didn't get to watch the video because I wanted to react live. So we'll see what happens once we turn it over to you, Maggie, and to the participants in the chat.
Absolutely. So sit back and relax and let us delve into this video together as part of our community service and giving back, because we believe the older women should teach the young. Lucy and I are with you all a couple times a week, and this is what we do from an older woman's perspective. We both come from traditional backgrounds, so our two disclaimers. I have linked the video in the description. If you want to watch it without our commentary, you are most certainly welcome to do that, because we will play and pause and give our feedback. And we always like to bring you all into the conversation. And as I said, Lucy and I come from traditional relationships, combined over 40 years of marriage experience. We believe in boys and girls, men and women, husbands and wives, moms and dads, in that order. So if you want to do your own thing, do it over there, because you probably won't be happy over here. We see you all coming through the chat. We're so excited to get started. Happy early Thanksgiving to anyone and everyone if you celebrate. I got a lovely email from a woman in Spain who's watching us. So we are international now. And again, our courses are usually taught live. They will always be taught live. But if you want to do self-study, you can now get them on demand. And without further ado, I am going to share my screen and we're going to get into it. This video is called The two relationships. Marriage does not get you love. Another zinger. So hold on and let's go.
And this is PsycHacks, Better Living Through Psychology. And the topic of today's short talk is the two relationships. Once you understand this concept, you'll have a much easier time navigating intersexual relationships. Fail to understand it or insist that it should be otherwise, and you'll wind up feeling bewildered, frustrated, and disappointed. It kind of goes like this. Every relationship is actually two relationships. That is, the relationship actually exists on two different levels simultaneously. Once you perceive these two levels and understand the differences between them, you'll be able to get more of what you want more easily from others. So, what are these two levels? The first we can call the level of the label. This has to do with the explicitly negotiated structure of a relationship. And as we'll see, this is the more superficial level of the two. For example, when people say, "This is my boyfriend," or "This is my wife," they're actually abiding at the level of the label. This is the relationship the individuals have consciously decided to enter into. And it's upheld by rules and contracts and boundaries and things like that. Now, the important thing to appreciate here is that there is nothing emotional about the structure of a relationship. This is the level of negotiated self-interest, of privileges and responsibilities, of roles and expectations.
Every time I listen to PsycHacks, I feel like I'm back in graduate school. If there was ever an academic on YouTube, he is the one. So we're going to unpack this, ladies. I love listening to him because it really makes you think. And like Lucy said, obviously he's a man, and it's wonderful to hear about relationships from the man's perspective because, ladies, men establish relationships. Men are the gatekeepers. They do the asking. They are the ones who decide if we are fit to come into their world. Of course, we have first right of refusal, and I always say you can accept with grace or exit with grace. Okay, a couple of things. Did you hear in the beginning when he said, before he got into his explanation about the two levels of relationship, he said, this is basically what it is, and you can either refuse to understand it or insist that it be otherwise. And that really stood out to me. Ladies, this is something that we do as women all the time. Shout out to the late, great Kevin Samuels, but that need to be right, or that argumentative thing that sometimes we just aren't logical. Thank you so much, Swabdi, coming through as always. Thank you so much for the support, the $10 super chat. But ladies, just because you disagree with something does not mean it isn't so. And so if men are saying these are the women that we consider wife material, if you want something traditional, and that's what we support here, marriage and long term, if the men are saying these are the qualities that we consider wife material, and you want to have a hot life summer, then you cannot expect the same outcomes. Just because you want it doesn't make it so. So I thought that was really interesting because I see a lot of women with their fist up in the air, virtually or physically, saying, this is the hill I'm going to die on. And the years just continue to roll by because you're trying to convince the men who do the choosing that they need to choose differently. You will fail every time. The second thing that I wanted to say, he talked about the first level of the relationship is the label, is the structure. My husband, my wife, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, my woman, my man, whatever you want to call it. And I love that he said that is basically just the structure of what is agreed to, but there is no emotion behind that label. So be careful, ladies, when you're insisting, am I your girlfriend? Are you insisting, are you going to marry me? Men can marry women that they do not love. You can be married on paper. You can have a label of a boyfriend, girlfriend, significant other, or whatever, and there be no emotion behind it. So I just wanted to start with that, and I hope you all listen to what he says, and hopefully you can understand, ladies, we are not driving this bus. What would you add, Lucy?
I absolutely agree. And the fact that we are in 2024 and men have stayed pretty consistent on what it is that they are looking for in their women and their wives and the people that they want to join forces with. And we women insist that what the men want is not really what they want. And we have this debate everywhere. I was watching something earlier today about the same thing. Women saying that just because they had been with many men, men did not have the right to say, no, I want somebody that has, has had lesser partners in their lives. And again, the back and forth, came in. The men asked the male audience what they wanted, and they said, yeah, we want women that have less bodies in history. And again, and unfortunately, feminism has done it so badly for women that they still don't get it. And I love how he did talked about the first level where he goes, where he said that there's nothing emotional in the relationship. These are the facts. This is how it's going to be. And then level 2 is going to be something different. So yeah, the way he presented the information, it's just so clear.
Yeah, so I'm going to see what you all are saying in the chat. But as always, I love to hear from the men who continue to watch and support us. What are some of the things that you all have said, this is what we want, and the women have tried to convince you of otherwise? Ladies, I'll always, lead by example and put myself on the hot seat. We tell men, or what I've heard, body positivity, when the men are saying that they want a woman that is fit. That's what they want. Men have said they want to see your natural face, light makeup, if makeup at all. You all insist that the men like, all this elaborate makeup and lashes. They don't. The men have said over and over, they want your natural hair. They actually want to see you. You all insist that you look better wearing someone else's hair. All of the other things, like Lucy said, men want a woman that has not been passed around if they're going to consider her for marriage or long term. You all think that you can have a hot girl summer, hot girl decade, hot girl life, and then when you're tired, you're going to tell the man, I'm just as good as the woman who has been saving herself for marriage. I'm sorry. From the man's perspective, there's more value on a woman that has been much more selective with who she gets access to herself. So the list goes on and on, ladies. You can argue if you want to. You're basically going to be howling at the moon. The moon will not change. All right. Let's see what the men are saying. Well, let's see what everybody is saying in the chat. And then we're going to go through. Yes, again, happy early Thanksgiving, everyone. Suave D says femininity is the minimum baseline requirement for me. If you don't have it, search for it, or I'm not interested. There you have it, ladies. It's a deal breaker. So many of the women that I've talked to, they don't realize how masculine they have become. That's why Lucy and I have the finishing school. But that is one thing, because the men don't really need us to achieve their goals, but they do require femininity. If you're going to be with a masculine man, if you want to be the man in the relationship, go for it. I cannot help you. Suave D says they will try to argue with me about what femininity is. They complicate the definition. Ultimately, they want us to accept what they give instead of what we demand. There you go, ladies. So listen or not, the men are the one doing the asking. Let's go back in and see what PsycHacks has to say.
This is what you get after you sign the contract or define the relationship. However, there's another level to every relationship. It's actually a deeper level, a more vital level. It's also a more chaotic and uncertain level, which is why so many people prefer to reside at the level of the label and to use that as a proxy for the deeper relationship. We can call this second level the level of the bond, or the felt connection to another person. As cannot be repeated enough, these two things are not the same. Millions of people are married to those they don't really feel much for, and millions more feel a lot for people they're not married to. Do you understand? Of course, ideally, you have both at more or less equal intensity. You have a vital emotional connection with another human being that is like protected and supported by the structure and boundaries of the relationship. Or, on the other hand, you have a non-existent relationship with someone you feel nothing for. In both cases, the structure of the relationship is elaborated to match the intensity of the bond. However, life is far from ideal. In my experience, it's far more common for these two levels to be out of balance in any given relationship. There are a lot of people walking around today who believe that just because they have a girlfriend or a husband, that is, just because they have a relationship with a label, that they are naturally and perpetually entitled to all the benefits and privileges that come with the emotional connection.
All right, so let's unpack this. So you see why now the title, he says, marriage does not get you love. So you all have heard now, PsycHacks has said that there is the label, there is what we present to the world, the title that a lot of women insist, you must call me this. And then there's the actual bond. And I'm going to give you all a homework assignment again, ladies. Think about the relationship that you're in, or think about the last relationship that you had, if you've had one, and think about the title that you had in the relationship and the bond that you felt in the relationship. And what he's saying is, a lot of times we think that they are the same, but from a man's perspective, they are very different. Ladies, you can be that girlfriend. It's the holidays. He could bring you, home to share turkey with the family and be thinking this is going nowhere. So I would advise, if you want a real relationship, ladies, we work on the relationship skills that secure the bond, because if the bond is there, it's natural for a man, because they are risk averse, to want to give the title and the label and the structure once the bond is there. But so many of you all want the ring and the dress. You want the party. Didn't we just react to a woman who got left at the altar because she wanted that label, and the bond was falling apart right before her eyes, and she didn't get the message until the wedding day became an unwedding day? I think it's fascinating. What do you say, Lucy?
I also think that for men, they take that bond much more seriously than women do. Because again, he talked about the bond is chaotic and uncertain, and we as women, we are chaotic and uncertain all over the place. So our men, thank goodness, give us our grace, because trust me, we can be a lot. But women, once they get the label, they think that they're going to be entitled to anything and everything, no matter how chaotic they create that life for the man. And I'm thinking about, that first level, and I was thinking about my first marriage. I think that the label was there, but I don't think that mutually the bond was there. Because again, once we learned that I couldn't have children, then that was a really very easy to detach from that bond, so he could maybe go try someone else that could give him that product. So again, when he started talking about that is, it hit something. It was my aha moment that's exactly what happened with my first marriage. With my second marriage, we have that bond. Poor guy, God bless him. We know that we're going to, it's from now to the end of time. No matter what happens, we will be together. And that's where the bond is.
I'm so glad that you said that, Lucy. I concur. And again, ladies, we believe that we teach the younger women by talking about what we've done right as well as what we've done wrong. So I'm going to tell on myself again. I can absolutely agree. I was married young. I absolutely loved being married. I absolutely was happy to have, my own family unit. That's how I was raised to be a wife. But if I'm being very honest, like I tell you all, as a reformed modern woman, I wasn't as respectful at all times as I should have been. I wasn't as agreeable at all times as I should have been. I was more competitive in my marriage than I should have been. Ask me how I know. Now, my second relationship, so the marriage ended in divorce after 10 years and 2 kids, but we co-parent really well, very grateful for that. I am in a long-term relationship with someone that I knew from childhood, that even though we are not married, and the reason we are not married is because he told me he does not want to be a stepfather. Finish what you start, and then this is what I will do for you. I have so much respect for him. I would never even think about some of the bragging and some of the competition stuff that I used to do that was kind of like, oh, he'll be all right. And I'm not proud to say that, but the bond that we have, because he established his requirements from the beginning, and I got on the program from the beginning, I feel more covered and protected and love and more of a bond without the label, but because I work on that relationship more than I did in my marriage. So hopefully that helps somebody. But yes, ladies, what I see that's heartbreaking is women who have the label. You get the ring, you get the dress, you get the big party, and then you ignore your husband. You let him fend for himself. You get the kids that you wanted, and then he's basically an afterthought. So that bond, again, is more important than the label. Let's see what you all are saying in the chat. Then we're going to go back in. My goodness. All right, here we have Ene. She says, I'm so thankful for your nurturing spirit that shines so bright. Yes, let's say what we're thankful for. I'm thankful for you all, and I'm so thankful for Lucy, even though she is my court-appointed chaperone, because I am a lot. I could not do this with anybody else. We love Lucy. The Condemned says the basic instructions before leaving earth tells us, let us not love in word or speech, but in deed and in truth. John 3:18, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, thank you for the scripture. All right, everybody, let's go back in.
This is not true. For better or worse, for example, you do not need to love your spouse to get married. You don't. It happens every day. But you do have to sign the marriage license to get married. The problems arise when people expect that having signed the marriage license, that they are now entitled to love, or conversely, that having loved, that they are now entitled to the marriage license. Two very different things. When the commitment serves as a proxy for the bond, then the felt connection suffocates and dies. And this will either cause your relationship to fall apart or, even worse, to become your prison. The joyless dischargement of duty for which death is the only release. The reason why this doesn't work, as I've said, is that every relationship is actually two relationships. Entering into the one entitles you to the other about as much as entering into a professional relationship with a business partner entitles you to a new best friend. If the two coincide, it's more of a fortunate accident than a foregone conclusion. As a result, it's much safer to consider the two as they exist in reality, functionally independent of each other.
All right, let's see if we can translate that while Gillis's head is exploding. And Suave D again with the $10. Thank you so much. Always so consistent and supporting. We are so appreciative. All right, ladies, he said a lot there, but basically we've established that we have two levels in the relationship. You have a label or not, and you have a bond or not. They are mutually exclusive. Just because you have a label does not mean that you are entitled to the bond. And that's what he's saying. A lot of women, when you get the title of girlfriend or you get the title of wife or significant other, you think your man is out there just loving you and, worshiping the ground that you walk on and thinking about you at all times during the day. That label does not get you devotion from him. It comes from respect and time and loyalty and all the other things that are important to men. You need to ask your man how you're doing. I do. Check in and say, how am I doing? Is there anything that I can work on? Be quiet and listen, because believe me, there's a list. Likewise, ladies, just because you love somebody, you could love this man with all of your heart. But if he does not see you as wife material or girlfriend material, it's going nowhere. And you are not entitled to it just because you love somebody. I've heard women say, but I love you, but I traveled for you, but I moved for you, but I did all this for you. That does not give you that label or that promotion that you want. So it's really important. I still say focus on the bond. And if that man feels the same and it's reciprocated, the label will come in time. That's what I would say. What would you say, Lucy?
I agree. And when he was talking about um, sometimes, there's that relationship that initially there's not a need to be loved. I think about arranged marriages because that's how they start. They meet that one, it's a family member from a family member. They meet that day that they're going to marry, and then they stick through it, through the beginning, through the middle, and the end, and they form that bond later on. So again, and what I'm seeing here too with modern women is that they are not allowing themselves to stick it through for many years before giving up. Whereas I can tell you, men, they will stick it through. We have seen marriages where you say, the man has been with a woman that that she's not taking care of herself. She doesn't look good, but she lets herself go and she blames the having children, whatever. She has all of these excuses, and the man stays through that hard, time excuses that she gives. But we are more, willing to give it up because, we are not happy in the relationship. And you know what? Relationships are, it's a give and take. And sometimes I'm going to be bonded to my husband, and sometimes my husband is just not going to be. He's just going to have, she's my wife, and she's going to be doing his own thing. It changes the levels, but that's where you find out as time goes by, where that bond stays with that time, that time spent together.
Such a good point. And Lucy, you talked about arranged marriages. The same thing I think applies to marriages in the past, even if they knew each other before they were married. We believed marriage was more of a duty, and there was a purpose in getting married that was bigger than I like you and you like me, because those feelings, like you said, are going to change. They're going to come and go. But if you are not committed to the vows that you made, when you're bored, when you're not happy, when the grass is greener, when you think you still got it, you're going to easily break that bond. We don't believe in that here. We don't believe in celebrating divorce or congratulating people or graduating from divorce. It's heart-wrenching. And Lucy and I have both been through it. But I love that he was just talking about how, ladies, this, in my opinion, that nurturing, that is a very feminine trait, I think is on us. I think we're better at it. And I think it's our responsibility to keep those, that love and those those fires burning. You're with him for a reason. Just because you have the relationship or the initial bond doesn't mean that it's going to stay that way forever. You need to continue to compete for your man. You need to continue to show up as the best version of yourself. Even if you're almost 50 or almost 60, it doesn't matter. And that bond comes in time. Last thing I'll say, and then we'll go back to the video. One of the saddest things that I'm seeing with modern women, Lucy said, because, you all have these ridiculous, numbers of experiences, you are damaging your future ability to bond. Ladies, we were not built to, come together and rip it apart, the way men are. Again, we are not equal. We are equally valued, but our biology is different. So if you think you're just going to enter into something casually, eventually you're going to develop feelings and a hope that it's going to turn into something. And a lot of women lead with that. And then when he's like, no, you knew what it was, then whether you admit it or not, that's another piece of damage. And so when you meet a man who's really ready to try with you, you've been so heartbroken and disappointed, your ability to pair bond is diminished. So don't set yourself up for failure, set yourself up for success, and choose wisely. Gillis says, infidelity is the unforgivable sin for me, a point of no return in respect and bond broken. I know it's a disputed topic. I hear you. And look, everybody has their deal breakers. And we talked about that before. Some people have relationships that work in different ways, but knowing that and having that conversation and working with what your deal breakers are is the only way you can be honest with yourself. All right, let us go back in.
If you appreciate the insights on this channel, I would highly encourage you to get your hands on a copy of my book, The Value of Others. Over the course of 432 pages, I delve deep into my economic model of relationships and explain the behavior of both men and women in the game of mating and dating. I also provide a lot of actionable advice on how to get and keep more of what you want in the sexual marketplace. Once you read The Value of Others, you'll never look at relationships the same way again. Now available in ebook, audiobook, and paperback formats. The links are in the description. Again, ideally you have both levels in equal proportion. However, if you had to prioritize one level over another, as is often the case in real-world relationships, it's a much better idea to prioritize the felt emotional connection with another person and to forego the label. Why? Because it's feeling that motivates action. People will do all kinds of things and make all kinds of sacrifices for the people they love, irrespective of whether those actions are reciprocated, irrespective of whether they're even in a relationship with the person in question. If a man runs into a burning building to save his wife, it's because he loves her, and she just happens to be his wife. It's not the duty of the label that motivates action. He would do the same if he loved her and he wasn't married to her. Hell, she could even be married to someone else, and he'll still do it. That's the power of love. By the same token, a woman is much more likely to stay loyal to the man she loves, whether or not that's her husband. This is because, as I discuss in my book, things like loyalty and love are non-transactable goods. They cannot be bought or earned, and they laugh in the face of boundaries and restrictions. This is why they have nothing to do with the label. They have no place in the explicitly negotiated dimension of the relationship. If you want things like love and loyalty and dedication and enthusiasm, then you will get more of what you want by prioritizing the level of the bond in any given relationship. So why don't more people do so? Because the felt emotional connection is unstable. It's like the weather, always changing, always fluctuating. Unlike a commitment, which can be made once and for all, it never doesn't require effort and attention. so it can be expensive and exhausting to monitor and maintain over time. As a result, as a relationship progresses, people tend to lean more and more on the structure. You can kind of think of it as a cost-saving heuristic. It requires much less time and effort and attention to preserve a structure than to nurture a living, changing bond.
All right, I just want to unpack that because you all know PsycHacks. He's just brilliant to me, but sometimes it's difficult. And Lucy and I have both bought his book, The Value of Others. It's quite the read. You may have to reread or re-listen to some sections, but the way he explains things, he talks about business and then translates it into relationships. But what I took away from what he said, a couple of things. So the goal is to have those two in balance. We have established there's the label, there's the title, and then there's the actual relationship, the feeling, the bond. So ideally, you love just as much as you are married, or you love just as much as you are girlfriend or boyfriend or whatever your title is. But I also heard him say, over time, and again, ladies, this is on us to keep the love fires burning. What happens is a lot of relationships end up relying more heavily on the label. Now that label, that title is a one-time thing. You get married once, or I call you my girlfriend or boyfriend once. But if you're riding out on that label and it's 5 years or 10 years or, 5 months down the line, and it's just like, he ain't going anywhere. He's my husband, or, she wouldn't do anything. She's my woman. She's my girlfriend. If that bond is not there, then it becomes lopsided. And basically all you have is a relationship on paper. You can basically say, yeah, we're together, but that's when, those feelings of, yeah, there's that battle axe, or there's my old man, or, those little digs that we do when you really don't care for that person, but you're connected with the label. What would you add, Lucy?
Yes, and I think about, I have seen some relationships that the woman and the men, they are married, but they're doing something completely different on their own. They're going out, getting ready, doing everything, going out to go clubbing with their friends and whatever. But they're only married in paper, not in bonds. And on the other side, I think about Kurt Russell and Goldie Hawn. They met, when they were very young. They never married, and they're still together now. So again, and that's that bond that they don't need a paper. They don't need a document that says that they're married. In their hearts and in their souls and, everywhere else, they are, together forever. And that bond has been established.
That is so true. I can so relate. I remember when, I've shared with you all, my story, and I had so many girlfriends in my ear trying to tell me that I needed to basically wrestle my man to the ground. Oh, he should have married you and this or that. He told me his requirements on day one and left it up to me. But I can honestly say, and we're over a decade in, and, the boys are almost on their way out. But I have been so in love with the same man and relationship, and those same girlfriends of mine that were chasing that title have gone through multiple changes, trying to go for that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, or go for that new shiny toy. And make no mistake, Lucy and I believe in marriage. We prioritize marriage. It is a wonderful achievement. We celebrate it here. However, if you're only going for that and trying to hurry up and get a man to lock it down before he finds out who you really are, you'll find yourself in one of those relationships where everybody's just kind of doing their own thing, living like roommates. Maybe that's fine with you, but I am happiest when we are together, whatever we're doing, because the bond is that strong. All right, let's go back in and see what he says.
However, one of the liabilities of the overuse of this heuristic is that people end up policing their boundaries at the expense of cultivating the connection. Husbands shouldn't do that. This is how a girlfriend should act. Do you understand? On the other hand, if these people were to prioritize the felt emotional connection, if their husbands and girlfriends felt a lot of love for them, then they probably wouldn't need to lecture their partners with respect to what they should or should not be doing. In so doing, they turn into parents or detectives or wardens, and they often feel hurt and betrayed when their partners, often eventually, decide to follow their emotions right out of that relationship in spite of their explicit agreements. Those who don't want to put in the effort to kindle and maintain that emotional connection often lose by getting what they want, the label. Consider the extreme example: an absence of emotion, but complete obedience to the structure of the relationship. This is a robot, like a drone discharging a joyless obligation. Who could possibly be happy about having a partner like that? Like, even the Stepford wives needed to be programmed to convey emotion. You know what I'm saying? Believing that a relationship on one level entitles you to a relationship on the other is actually an abnegation of responsibility. On the other hand, those who attend to that emotional dimension generally don't have to worry about the label. This is because people are going to be loyal and devoted to the people that they love.
I just want to unpack this one right here. I love that I had the vision of the robot being wound up, but a couple things there. Did you all hear when he said, ladies, you can win and still lose? So you can chase that title, that ring. I'm going to make him marry me. That's what somebody I used to coach said. And I was like, good luck with that. Hadn't happened. Not going to happen. But you can maybe get a man to say, okay, fine, you're my girlfriend. Okay, fine, I'll marry you. And you will be in a bondless union. You'll be home alone all the time. Like Lucy said, just doing your own thing. A pastor that I used to listen to, she said, there's nothing better than a good marriage, and there's nothing worse than a bad marriage. So again, I would encourage the ladies to focus on relationships and those relationship skills that stand the test of time. The other thing that I want to say, and I was looking over on Instagram, we have the Femininity Project. Sarah Badenova is watching and commenting, and she had a masterclass that we took a couple of weeks ago, and she asked us to examine ourselves. Ladies, can your man trust you? Can your husband trust you? And it's not in the big things. You're not going to empty the savings account. You're not going to go out there and, cheat, but in the small things. When you are out on your own, is it obvious to others that you're spoken for? Or do the lines get a little blurry when you're around that cute guy at work, or that, whoever that you think, I wonder if I still got it. Can he trust you? And so what Dr. Orion is saying here, we do things out of love that a lot of times people say, well, you're my husband, you have to be faithful. You're my wife, you have to be faithful. You choose to be faithful because you love somebody. You choose to, oh, thank you, I appreciate it, but I'm in a relationship, or whatever it is. You don't have to police somebody, like he said, be that warden, be that bully. What did that lady that we reviewed last time, going out here and women are getting background checks and doing all this investigative work? There's no love there. So you gotta, check and make sure, everybody's behaving accordingly. So again, you can have the title, you can win, yet still lose. I love that. What would you add, Lucy?
Absolutely. And I think when I hear that, I think about these women that spend their time trying to find things in the husband's phone, just looking for things that they probably, because if you're looking, you already know that there's something there. So, why would you spend your time doing that? Instead, make the home something that he's going to be wanting to come back to, and that he would rather, the world could come to an end and he would rather come to the house than to go somewhere else to find the happiness that you give him at home. Just it's part of that kindling of that bond, and it's part of our nurturing. And yeah, sometimes our husbands might drive us crazy, but they're there and we're here and we decided to be together. Why not make it a beautiful place for both of us? And as the nurturers, we are the ones that are supposed to be the peace and provide that comfort for them to want to return.
So true. So, ladies, the takeaway on this is you hold the key. If you are in the relationship, men will establish that this is a relationship. I am with you and you are with me. But you are the ones that can continue to love, continue to show love, continue to flirt, continue to compliment him, continue to do all those things that built the bond. It can get stronger over time. So, where I don't worry about anything, not in an arrogant way because I stay on top of my game, but I know that I am giving my 100% best. Of course, there's room for improvement always, but I think a lot of times when women try to police, and I believe in speaking to women, I don't think I have a place to speak to men, but when women try to strong arm, when women try to wrestle you to the ground, when women try to hurry up and get you to the altar, like Lucy said, when women are looking through the phone, looking for trouble, you're going to find it if you have to look. It's because they know they're not doing what they need to do. They know that they've dropped the ball. They know they're not nurturing that relationship. They know they're disrespecting that man. They know he's giving you feedback and you're like, he'll be all right. And so instead of working on the bond, you're trying to work on the label and say, you have to do this because. No, he doesn't, ladies. So hopefully you realize you are the ones who can fix it if it's broken, if it's not too late. All right, let's listen to what he says to wrap it up.
Their behavior more or less follows their heart. Like people can resist their hearts, but they can't resist it without doing some degree of violence to themselves. They're either going to resist until they can't, or they're going to have to anesthetize or remove that part of themselves. And that kind of surgery is going to come with other consequences for a person's emotional economy as well. Take care of the felt emotional connection, and the structure often takes care of itself, but generally not the other way around. What do you think? Does this fit with your own personal experience? Let me know in the comments below. And please send this episode to someone who you think might benefit from its message, as it's word of mouth referrals like this that really help to make the channel grow.
I love that. And I'd love to hear what you all said, but two things in that last bit for me. So we talked about the label and we talked about the bond, and we're all human. Everybody has a breaking point. So ladies, I think, one of the things that you can act like you don't know, but if you are not taking care of your relationship, I've said it before, you're on the clock and one day it's not going to be there and you're going to act like you don't know why. But a man can deny himself, and ladies, the same for us. You can fake it till you make it only for so long, unless you're going to go live separate lives, that's always an option. But that bond is not going to just stay together on its own. Like anything else, it needs to be reinforced. So if you know you are not giving your best in the relationship, if you know that there are areas of opportunity where you can do better and you just left him out there to go find happiness in other places, it's only a matter of time before you're out of time. That's what I'll say. And then, the second thing that he said is that we've got the label and we've got the bond. If you take care of the bond, the label usually will take care of itself. However, the converse is not true. If you just say, oh yeah, I'm his husband, I'm his wife, I'm here. Yeah, I'll sign the paper. I'll do whatever I need to do. If you are just taking care of the label, the title, it does not mean that that bond is going to be maintained. So make sure you're focusing on the right things, ladies, and keep the main thing the main thing. I think this is a superpower that we have. If you lead with femininity, you can absolutely give your man that one thing that he can't buy or hire out there. You can give him that feminine experience that it just does magic to masculine men. What would you add, Lucy?
Yes, and also um, we need to make that choice. We need to make the choice that you're going to stay with that man no matter what. It's part of those, marital vows, for better or for worse. And sadly, there are a lot of women that are not willing to make that sacrifice. So if you sit back and you self-reflect and you say, will I want to be with this man for the rest of my life? If your answer is no, then you're probably not going to be in a good relationship, in a good situation, and marriage is not for you. I also hear some women say, but I gave him everything and he still left me. Again, that's one in a million. And I doubt that that person gave him everything for him to have left. I am certain that the guy put up with a lot and then he decided that he couldn't take it anymore. So again, come on, and if you look inside and say, yeah, you know what, I was not the best, and I could have given him more, that's where you did not give him everything. So again, work on that bond. If you're already in a relationship and you are married, work on making that bond stronger. And because from here on, if you are in your 30s already married and you're thinking about looking for something else somewhere else, you're not going to find it. Life is getting harder. Men are getting much more skeptical about marriage. So if you've secured that marriage, that paper, you better start working on that bond so you can be with him, forever and ever.
Absolutely. So if you all have any thoughts on what PsycHacks has said, if you have focused on the title instead of the bond and you want to share your thoughts, or if you have any questions for Lucy or me in these last few minutes, definitely we'll try to answer them. But since we are running a Black Friday sale in the last few moments, I just want to tell you all about some of the courses that we have, because they are 50% off for this week only. So again, the video was the two relationships. Marriage does not get you love. So ladies, if you want to watch it or rewatch it, the link is in the description. All right, so I'm going to share my screen and just show you all our course page, and I'm going to drop the link in the chat. Again, the code is a Black Friday. So I want to tell you all about some of these courses because people have been asking us how they can participate. So I'm really excited to share it with you all. All right, so let's go over to this tab here. Of course, if you want some cooking, my cookbook is available, but we've got a new course that we're going to be starting in December. So I wanted to let you all know. We'll go through these one at a time. Relationship Basics Workshop. All right, now this course we have created because, believe it or not, we got some feedback that our material was a little too advanced. And some of the ladies wanted some assistance on how to be in a relationship at all. And like Lucy said, I understand and I agree. Not every woman is cut out to be a wife. It is a calling. It is a lot of sacrifice. It's a joy if that's what you want. But if it doesn't come naturally to you, we can teach you, but you're going to continue to struggle if this is not really who you are. So we will have a workshop. This is a 2-week mini course, and it's going to be on Saturday, December 14th and Saturday, December 21st at 3 p.m. Eastern. The link is in the description. You all can go. And again, the code is Black Friday. This will be a workshop. You're not just going to sit at our feet and Lucy and I give you all of the secrets to our relationship success. I've already started giving homework assignments so the ladies can really evaluate themselves and see, am I cut out for this? So either if you're young and you don't have a lot of relationship experience, or if you have drop the bag and you're trying to figure out what you did wrong, we're going to go through some of the things that when I say you need to study your man, what does that mean? When I say you need to anticipate his needs, What does that mean? We're going to go through that, and you are going to assess yourself with those characteristics. Lucy, what would you add about our new workshop?
I love that there are ladies that do see the need for them to get, relationship 101. And it's also sad because they did not get it from their parents or their moms. So again, I'm looking forward to it to see, how basic we're going to get. And I'm hoping that the ladies that attend do apply the learning, because again, one of the things that I've also noticed is that there are some ladies that come in and take as many courses as possible, but if you don't apply the learning, then your next, event or situation or relationship is still going to not be as successful, because you're not applying the learning. Because it takes a lot of courage to say, you know what, I need to do this in order for me to retain this wonderful man that is taking the time to be with me. And it's okay for us to say, you know what, we're chaotic and we're a lot. So I'm glad that this man is at least giving me a chance, and then just go ahead and apply that learning, because it's part of your self-development.
Absolutely. So ladies, again, if your mother didn't teach you how to be a good woman to a good man, and you have one or you want one, like Lucy said, this is going to be 101. And I'm a little This is not going to be a cakewalk. All right. So again, this course, regular price is $100. It's a 2-week course. Code Black Friday will give you $50 off. You can go to the link that I just dropped in the chat. Let's see what you all are saying here. Oh my goodness. I missed a couple. The Condemned says, if only more women truly knew the lengths us men would go if they were to unlock and unseal and stop holding back their superpower of femininity, we move mountains, earth, and heaven for those type. Yes, ladies, if you're not getting the covering and the protection that you think you should have, you're just not showing up in the way that cause men to want to protect you. Suave D says, I'd pay to watch you ladies teach the course. Yeah, again, like I said, this one is not going to be rocking you to sleep. All right, it's going to be your wake up call. Achilles was asking for the date. So again, this one is coming up very soon, December 14th and December 21st. Saturdays at 3 p.m. Eastern. The class will be taught live, but we are now going to make our courses available on demand. So after the course is done, you will be able to enroll and self-study. All right. Thank you all so much for being here. Wonderful. All right. So I want to go on to the next one, because we're going to miss you all on Saturday. So I want to make sure you know before this expires. All right. So the next course that we have is our flagship course, the Finishing School for the Modern Woman. We only teach this twice a year. This is 8 weeks. So this is a 2-month course, and it starts January 4th. This is going to be personal development. This course is going to teach the ladies how to be more refined, how to show up as an elegant woman, how, oh my goodness, we talk about confidence, communication, we talk about dining etiquette, we talk about greeting, we talk about hosting, being a good guest, business, social media, basically the whole footprint, if you will. If you want to show up as a woman that is set apart, that's going to be the Finishing School for the Modern Woman. It's going to be 8 weeks, starts January 4th. Regular price is $550. It is on sale, 50% off this week. We already have people enrolling. You get a workbook shipped to you so you can take notes and make it personal. And we have an amazing graduation celebration coming up in April. And the only way to attend the graduation is if you take the flagship course. One of our generous sponsors is sending the ladies out on a yacht, you and your plus one if you have one. So we're very excited. What would you say about the Finishing School, Lucy?
And the last section for the Finishing School is emotional intelligence. That is something that is probably a good bridge to maybe go into the relationship part, on the bride, uh, the women's archetype, the wife's archetypes. So again, they all build up on the learning builds up for each section. And I love Neo Moses' comment. America just kills me sometimes, seeing many brush off this opportunity to become what the majority says. Exactly. Hats off for you too. My lady follows this, might gift her the course. I love this. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. And gentlemen, you can, any of the courses that we are describing, when you go to the checkout, you can absolutely gift them. You just put in the email of the recipient and they will get the welcome email. Again, we teach this live, but if you wanted to get started right now and not wait for the January course, we do have available our last session on demand. It won't have the workbooks and the live Q&A, but you do have the option to get either or at 50% off this week only. And again, this is the only way that you can join the graduation because this is the most robust. All right. And then the final one that I wanted to call out to you all, we are coming up on week 4 of our wife archetypes for the modern woman. So this is basically our basic workshop is your entry level. Our flagship course is your standard or requirement. And then the wife archetypes is advanced teaching. If you're interested in relationships, ladies, and we have so many married women in the course. I'm so grateful for that. And if you know, like we talked about today, you haven't been working on those bonds, if you know that you can be doing better, we put together by demand, by popular demand, a wife lessons 4 weeks. So when you are married, or if you want to be married, what does a young husband require of his wife? What does a middle-aged husband require of his wife? What does an older man require of his wife? One of the things that I'm very attentive to is whenever we come up with new curriculum, I run it by the men in our founding fathers and go through, this is what we're going to teach the ladies. Do you approve? And they give us feedback, my men and others that you all know, to make sure that what we are teaching is what the men that the women want the women to know. All right. So we are wrapping that up. We have decided we will do it again in March of 2025. We will teach the wife lessons again. So if you want, you can, again, enroll at 50% off. That one is $200. I can't see it here, but it's, I think it's $250, but you have 50% off with code Black Friday on all 3 of those for this week. So we wanted to make sure you all had this information so nobody says, oh, I didn't know. When Lucy and I started this was just our heart to give back. And people were asking, do you have a course? Do you do coaching? Used to. Do you have a book? It's coming. Do you have anything available? So thank you, Moses, for realizing, ladies, this is an opportunity, because I'm going to tell you, the women that are happy in their relationships are just quietly living their lives, and they're not going to stop to take the time to give you the keys to the kingdom, because why should they? And honestly, Lucy's marriage is her priority. And once these boys are up and out, you're going to see a lot less of Maggie. So I'm just telling you that now. Take advantage if you want it, or you can do your own thing. Thank you so much, Gillis. All right. So that's what I wanted to share. Lucy, what would you say to close us out?
I hope you enjoyed this live stream, and happy Thanksgiving to you all. I hope you enjoy your time with your families, eating good food, and then we'll see you next Wednesday.
Yes, absolutely. So tomorrow is Thanksgiving in the U.S. If you celebrate, there is nothing better than family. That is what men go to war for. That is what they die for. That is what they marry us for. It's not just to look into our googly eyes, ladies. It is because they know they're not going to be here forever, and they want a legacy, that their name stays spoken forever. That is important. All right. So they are survived by their wives. They are survived by their children. And if relationship is what you want, I would keep that top of mind and not just what makes you happy. So we will, Lucy and I won't be here on Saturday, but I'll be here. My birthday is actually Friday, so I'm going to do a stream on Saturday, a birthday stream. reviewing the Maggie Meetup cruise. You all have been waiting. So I'm going to take Saturday's stream to tell y'all all about Virgin Voyages, and registration is open for next year. If you want to come sail away, I'll be 50 next year. Very excited about that. We believe in aging gracefully. So thank you, Neo Moses. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I know y'all already been waiting. So we will let you all have time with your families. Enjoy, be safe. This is a very busy travel weekend. From your favorite extrovert, Jumping Jelly Bean. Please be safe if you're going to be traveling, and we will see you all back together on Wednesday of next week. So until then, adios.
Adios.